and welcome back to Inside the Box, the second episode. We started the new program with the Wolf and Dulce Hour last week with episode 1 and Dexsoft Games. Inside the Box is a look at iClone content. We'll be doing reviews of various product offerings from the developers that Reallusion has posted in their content store. And again, as we mentioned, we're going to be reviewing this week Dexsoft Games once again. The actual theme pack that we're going to be looking at is going to be the Modern Theme pack. You can see it here on the screen. It consists of 4 different prop packages: Industrial Model Pack, Street Drivers Model Pack, Vehicle Junkyard, and the Old Village. The 2 that we're going to focus on the most are the Old Village and the Industrial Model Pack, as for, in my opinion, for the value, those are the 2 big ticket items within this pack. As you can see, it retails for $79.95 for all 4. If you were to purchase individually, they're selling them for $30 a pack. So let's take a look inside the box and see what the Dexsoft Modern Theme Pack has to offer for everyone. So I'm going to start with the Street Drivers and the Vehicle Junkyard Model Pack because, as I mentioned, those 2 are going to be the filler type pack, in my opinion, and I want to spend a little more time on the Industrial and the Old Village Model Pack. So without further ado, you can see the Street Driver Model Pack I have open here. I'll drag some items into the stage for the viewers so that we can take a look and see at some of these models. So you've got basically a large garage building. That's the only building in the actual pack itself. The rest of the items are basically filler material. So as you can see here, we've got some props, we've got some parking areas for the vehicles themselves, and we have some other miscellaneous props, gas tanks, we've got ladders, power poles, which actually are, you can never really have too many, in my opinion. Power poles are one of those things that can fill out any scene, really, and you can see we've got a nice little set there. And then you've got the 5 vehicles themselves. So these are basically, again, Dexsoft Games works their props into a lower poly count set, ideal for games, really, and game engines. And as you can see, as I load them up into the stage, the various vehicles that we have here, you'll be able to see the actual cars themselves, and I'll zoom in on them so that you can get a bit of a better look at the vehicles themselves. I wouldn't be using them for showcasing, in terms of a front end system for the cars themselves, but they're very, very good for use on a racing scene if you're going to be doing that, or again if you're going to be developing a racing game potentially in iClone and exporting the vehicles into some game engine at a later state. So it's a fairly simple and straightforward pack, useful for, again, that garage look. If you're going for it, you want to have a pit stop or something of that nature, then the Street Drivers Model Pack can be perfect for that particular aspect if you're going to be utilizing it for something like that. So we'll now go over and take a look at the Junkyard Pack, which, as the name implies, is going to include a whole bunch of props that you can use to create your own junkyard. Ideally, again, you're going to be looking at some of these buildings. This one does actually have a few other buildings in it that you could also use in other areas if you wanted to. If you want to combine them with the Industrial Pack that we reviewed last week. I shouldn't say last year. So we've got some of these buildings, as you can see, that are in the prop pack itself. Very large buildings, in fact. All the buildings are textured inside and out, so that you can actually go inside the those buildings should you desire to do so and use them. And you can see there's a decent amount of space inside the building that you could utilize, and because it is textured, you can work within it fairly well. We've got again some other miscellaneous props, some broken down helicopter. I'm going to actually just hide out these buildings so that we can take a look at some of these other props. So broken down helicopter, you know, good clutter. Junkyard is what you're looking for, shelf, some trolleys, and then you've got a few vehicles, 1, 2, 3, 4 vehicles that are destroyed for, again, perfect for post-apocalyptic. You've got a old rundown city, maybe a desert city. You've got, if you want to actually do a junkyard in a modern city, these types of props are going to be very useful for you. So well done as far as the texturing on them go. Very good grungy look, and again, decent poly count, as we can see by the models on the side, that if you load into iClone for real time, you're not going to have too much of an issue with a big scene. So those are 2 of the 4, and as mentioned, I want to focus on the old, actually I'm on the wrong one there. So I have the old village here and the industrial. There we go. So we're going to open up a preset. I already built one of my scenes, and as you've seen by the opener of the segment when I did the fly through of the old village, give you a look at my project file for that, so that way we can kind of see the layout, and I'll chat a little bit about it so that you can see the strength of the old village. In my opinion, one, there's a lot of buildings that we have. So this is the starting point, as you can see, of the fly through that we had earlier. I'm going to pop to a taller view of the set itself. So we'll drop this down as well so we don't have any flare-ups on the screen while we're looking around. So from a standpoint of a prop set, the buildings themselves are in this pack are very well put together. They have very strong texturing on them, a lot of good use of the material channels. We have you can see from, if we jump into pixel shading mode on the actual screen, and we stop at any point in here, you can see the buildings. Good grunge look up on the side, damaged rock, but again, we have the material maps that make the buildings themselves pop quite well, so that we can utilize them and get a really nice good effect in our shooting scenes if we're going to be looking at it. Now, one of the key features of this, and we talked a little bit about this on the show last night when we were reviewing it live on the Wolf and Dulcie Hour, which again airs 10 p.m. Eastern on Monday nights on tmoaradio.com, and you can listen in live as we do the content reviews there. What we'd like to see from Dexsoft more, as they have in this particular pack, is the creation of basically a terrain, if you wanted to call it that. In this particular pack, they do have such a thing, and I'll pull it out so that we can see it for you on the screen. You'll see the actual layout, and that's exactly what it is. It's in essence a layout of the actual street, and it's put there so that, again, a lot of people aren't necessarily the most creative of people as far as they want to utilize the product, but they don't necessarily have an inkling as how to put it together, or not entirely sure. And Dexsoft, with the old village prop, you can see that they have created that for you, a template, if you will, that then you can surround your buildings along this road pathway. And as you'll see, like I did in this particular project file, all we did was take all of the buildings and surround the actual project template that they created for us already. And the effect ultimately can be quite good when you drop a camera. You can see I've got a path around the road, which is what I utilized for the flyby. And when you drop a camera into then your prefab set, you can see that it does actually provide you with a pretty good, really scene that you could do and work a lot with. It's a quite a lovely build. So let's take a look at the actual contents of the pack itself right now, so that you can see the buildings themselves and what is included in that pack. Because like I said, these other two that we're talking about right now are really the strength of this theme pack as a whole. So when we look at the Old Village Model Pack buildings, there's a plethora of them. I like that word, plethora. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and a tower. So 14 different buildings, various shapes, various sizes. Again, you can see the texturing on them is quite good. It's a nice photorealistic look as opposed to a cartoony one. The medieval village that we showcased last week was more designed around more of a cartoony type of look and feel, whereas this is, yes, it's an old village, but it's a current. And again, you can see the diffuse and bump and specular map, which is true of pretty much all of the buildings in this particular pack. And you can really see the impact of the texture modeling when I turn on the pixel shading. So when you look at a building like this one, it really jumps out and pops at you with the photorealistic texturing and the bump maps provided. And like I said, they're all pretty much built like that, so that they round out your scene very, very, very nicely if you're looking at creating something that is, again, a photorealistic type of scenario that you can utilize. So the buildings, very well put together, good use of the materials, good value overall, and you can put them in any combination. Again, we talked about this when we did our last review. Sometimes some people prefer to have a whole preset town where it's automatically, and they don't want to take the time to put it together. But to me, that's a strength, where you have these buildings that you can use in any of your sets as opposed to being stuck into one particular type or locked into a specific setup. And they did provide, again, the street scene where, if you'd like, you can just wrap the buildings around it and build it out. So here's some of the other props that are built into the set for you. Also, again, very nicely photorealistically done when they put together the models, and they have the bump maps and specular maps that give the props a very good look. This one's an electric box. We've got some wood canopies that you can place on as attachments to any of the buildings. Park bench, a gate if you want. Again, same thing, use it over one of the streets or a pathway yourself. Lamp post, which is good for street corner lighting if you want to put some ambient light, but a nice prop. And again, they keep you can see the poly counts are quite low, and as you saw in my actual set, I had the whole set basically laid out. No trouble at all, obviously, for iClone to deal with. There's a couple individual road segments if you wanted to work and build your own road structure. You can see obviously here you can do so. And then some miscellaneous type product, like this one, I guess they just called it a platform that you could, again, attach to any of the buildings that you would like. Some more other pieces, a wall and gate together, and some wall lamps. So overall, if you're buying it individually at $30, it's an excellent value in my opinion, just because of the quality of the prop set. And again, for me, the biggest thing with this one is the fact that they do also include a template road system for you, that you can create your own town level very simply by just literally adding the buildings onto the terrain itself. And this is as a prop, but you can very easily right click, convert it to the terrain, add to terrain, and then in turn add your buildings onto it. So well done in my opinion. This particular prop, the Old Village, gets 2 thumbs up for sure, without a doubt. And last one that we're going to take a look at for Dexsoft for this week is the Industrial Model Pack. And this one as well is very, very good value in my opinion. We'll clear the stage here so we can take a look at some of the props. There's the fly-through of the industrial prop set that I've made as well, and I'll load that shortly so that you can take a peek at it as I'm talking, and you can get a view of what the actual set can look like in iClone itself. And when we take a look at it, same way, a lot of buildings. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and a chimney. And then if you count the oil tanks that they have, there's about 14, 15 different types of facilities, as they call it. Radio towers, silos. The quality on these, again, just as it was in the old village, these props have, you can see the bump maps, diffuse maps, specular, well put together. Again, good models. Some of these ones do have a slightly higher poly count just because of the nature of the model itself when you break it down, but overall they still maintain a very nice low profile. And as you'll see in my particular project file where I basically put all of the props into it, it has no issue working and running in real time within iClone itself. So you look at the different prop sets that we have here that are very, very useful. Again, if you're looking to round out an industrial plant or build your own industrial facilities, or again, you can also look at a derelict kind of scenario. This one has some good power lines as well. In this one, that are more industrial power lines, and again, all of the different buildings. I'm not going to load them all because you'll see them in the project file and the fly-through, but you can see the amount of buildings that you have access to in this prop set that give you a very, very broad base by which you can work to complete a full project should you need to do so. And then when we look at the prop folder itself, same thing. We've got fence panels that you can build all types of different kinds, some barbed wire ones, which I'll zoom in on this particular one. You know, nicely put together, basically PNG files for the barbed wire. Very, very low poly count, as you see here, only 124 faces on the actual model itself. So very good use of props, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of fence panels. And then again, clutter. We've got gas pipelines, garbage container, a hook gas pipeline that you can in turn obviously move and have your pipes end up going a different direction should you choose. Another one here that you look at, which is another power line, which again, you can't really have too many as far as I'm concerned. These can be utilized in any street scene should you need to, as opposed to just the industrial type scenario. You've got rails, multiple different staircases that you can utilize, a train base, and some walkways, and a big, large, obviously industrial type lift that can go into the set itself. So again, a good amount of props and facilities. And in this one, as in the old village, again, almost every single item has the good use of the material channels themselves to provide the look. The only thing that, again, I would like to see in this one that is not a criticism, it's more of a recommendation, would be if they would include their own layout type option, where even if it's a simple textured flat map, because again, some people like to have everything laid out, a road map, if you will, for putting it together. And I'm just going to load the actual set that you've seen the fly through on for the actual project itself, so you can see its use. And we'll jump out high so that we can take a look around the model. So you can see here where I've built my own industrial plant. I utilized the the panoramic that I have in this is from iClone's Reallusion's City Pack, actually. It's from a different pack, so it's not included in Dexsoft, just so that I want to be everybody aware of that, so that they're not confused by it, saying, well, where's my panoramic view? That one, should you be interested in something like that, that one can be found in Reallusion's City Elements. It's I have utilized that one from the actual panoramas in the City Elements. As you can see, they have several different ones, and this one's the panorama town that I've utilized just because it provides a good background, as you can see when we do the fly through, and there's my path. But overall, you can see and this was with very little forethought. I basically just started grabbing some of the buildings and throwing them down in different areas, spacing them out, and then afterwards filling them in with the different canisters and the other component pieces like the fences and the oil tankers and whatnot. Added in some of my own ground type scenarios, and there you have it. So very, very easy. This set itself that you can see here and in the fly through probably took a grand total of, in all honesty, maybe about 15 minutes to set up, because it literally was just dragging and positioning, and then the drawing out the path for my camera to follow so that I could render it out for you guys. And that's it. So again, this is a review of the Dexsoft Modern Theme Pack Collection Volume 1, which includes the Old Village, Vehicle Junkyard, Street Drivers, and Industrial Model Pack, and currently retailing for $79.95. You can buy the individual packs for $30 a piece. Again, I think that the value really is the Old Village and the Industrial Pack. So if you were looking to save a couple bucks and didn't want to spend $80, the $60 on those two packs would be well worth it. But at the $80, you're basically picking up the Street Driver and the Vehicle Junkyard for $10 a piece, in my opinion. And they round out a package nicely. So if you combine and throw in the Vehicle Junkyard into this and pull some of those props in here, you can even flesh out with more clutter in your own sets as a whole. So hopefully you found that informative, and we'll be back next week with Inside the Box Episode 3. And I'm not sure exactly who we're going to be reviewing as of yet, but obviously we will let you know on next week's Wolf and Dulce Hour when we decide who the content developer that we'll be looking at will be. So until then, have yourself a great day, and hope you found it informative. Take care.